think we're ready to start. At least I am. So it's been a long time. Um, Very happy to be back after my tournament in Norway. And yeah, let me just change the title of my stream. I forgot to do that. And once I do that, we'll be ready to go. Sorry about that. Okay, normally now it's done. So yeah, main idea is I will do some recap of Norway Chess, how it went, whichever questions you have for me, and yeah, really anything. Hello everyone, very happy to see people coming in. I don't know if the title of the stream has been corrected. If not, this is a debrief of Norway Chess. Yes. Hi everyone. Hi Eric, good to see you. Daria as well. And yeah. So I just wanted to again talk about this new experiment in Norway Chess. I think there's a lot to talk about with this new format, and of course I'll be analyzing the most interesting game I played. Sadly it's a loss, but against Fabi. And first of all, this Norway Chess. So it was tough in terms of energy because we were playing, of course, one classical game with little time control. I mean, with quite fast time control. I mean, with no added time after move 40. So it was it didn't allow for lapse of concentration or whatever. And of course, whenever there was time trouble, this was for life. And then, of course, the Armageddon games. It's just one bit, but it does take some energy. It's, of course, against players who are, prepared. And and the added tension of all the Armageddons one day after another made it a very exhausting event. That being said, I think it was also very interesting. I like the idea to tie the break between the players. So I think this was in a way good. And if I didn't think it was too much of a circus. I mean, some people described it as a circus, but we're grown-ups. We know how to play well, even without much time. So, of course, maybe this game, Levon against Sasha, this Armageddon game, wasn't too great from a spectacle point of view. I mean, it was just pieces hanging. A few people saw this, but first of all, it was an exception, and second of all, it should never have happened, in my opinion. The arbiter should have intervened. Hello, people. I see more people tuning in, and yes, the best blitz player in the world, Pharaoh. Yeah, well, for now. Hopefully, I will be able to prove it in the next World Blitz Championship. I mean, this would be a fun event. Hi there. See more and more people tuning in. It's very nice. You're already almost 1,500. Oh, you were in Leuven. Nice. Nice. So, I mean, if you have any questions about Norway Chess or about any other thing, I mean, you're welcome to ask them so that I can maybe give you even more insight on the tournament. If not, I'm just gonna also start analyzing that game against Fabi. Yeah, my blitz rating is pretty good. So do I feel disappointing about the tournament? I mean, about my play, yes. Otherwise, it's a nice tournament. I like it quite much, but I haven't been able to play well there for some years now, and it's kind of bugging me. Such an Armageddon. So, like I said, I like the idea. I don't think it should be at every tournament, but I like the idea. It was quite exhausting as well, but we're grown ups. We can take a bit of longer day at the office. That's okay. And then, do I feel the Armageddon was accurate? In general, yeah, I think this 10 against 7 was fairly balanced. And of course, maybe the only drawback is that it's better to have white against certain players and black against others. But all in all, I felt like this was very even. I think the score in all the Armageddons was very even. So, yeah, I think that was sort of fair. What about Fabiano's prep? I mean, it was not as much. It was not only a good preparation by him, but also a lack of memory by me. So, but I'll jump into that later on. Did I see the TV show Armageddon in Moscow? I didn't really have the time. I just saw it was happening while Norway Chess was happening. So I saw the idea. It was quite interesting. I think Karyakin won. It was of course good that Vladi played and came out of retirement, even if it was just for an exhibition. Do I think the score system was fair? Yeah, I was about to get to that. So no, I don't think this was fair. I think this was one of the main issues in the tournament. So I would suggest a 4-2-1-0 scoring, which means that one win in Classical is worth 2 wins in Armageddon. And at the same time, of course, you're still rewarded for winning Armageddon. So I think this 4-2-1-0 is a bit fairer, and maybe it would have avoided, for instance, Dingliran ended up in 6th place. It was a bit of a shame because we felt he was not happy about his tournament, and he still scored +2 in Classical, so he should have been happy with his results. But of course, when you finish 6th, it's hard to be so happy. Do I think Saint-Etienne will be top 3 in Ligue 1? I mean, if Marseille and Monaco keep on messing up, maybe. But I mostly think that Lyon can win Ligue 1 next year ahead of Paris. Next tournament, no vacations. I'm going to Zagreb in less than a week, and then I'll be playing in Riga as well immediately after that. Hey Chessboy, good to see you. So hi again everyone, thanks for tuning in. And Yeah, I'll go over my game with Fabi now, little bit. So it was this Najdorf, and it chose once again Bishop G5, um, which of course I was prepared against, and I had rechecked my files, but that didn't help me too much. So anyway, so e6 f4, and now I played the main line of the poison pawn, because for a while I was mostly playing this line with queen b6, and but then after a while they managed to pinpoint. I think Fabi was the first actually to pinpoint this idea. This was overall very dangerous for me. I mean, there were a few games in St. Louis last year where I was kind of suffering. So let's not go too deep because anyway it's not really relevant. But anyway, I switched to queen b6 quite recently, and then we went. We went into this line. So f5, bishop e7 is sort of the new trend, and so then here there are many moves to white, and after bishop c4, somehow I didn't remember my lines, and I went a bit crazy. I mean, I could have played any move like rook c8 or b5 are very reasonable moves. Probably even queen a5 is fine. And here I just calculated for a bit, and I thought, I mean, I sort of knew I was not supposed to take, but I couldn't see the reason why. And so I thought, let's do it, because this also is maybe the drawback of, I mean, not the drawback, but the danger of this time control. It was 2 hours, no incremental, I mean, no added time after move 40, and so I thought I cannot, spend all my time in the opening. So anyway, I went for this line, and everything up to here is fort. I mean, bishop f7 was a nice sacrifice. Also keep in mind that my king has moved now, so I cannot castle anymore. And so I went queen a5 check, and of course, I mean, I saw king d1 in advance, but I had checked a couple of lines. I thought it was okay for me. I mostly focused on, I mean, mostly, not really mostly, but I did see that the bishop d2 here, rook f8 is quite an important move, and to avoid white from castling, to prevent. And then I go rook c8. Next move, I will be hitting on the c2 pawn. Rook takes e7, king e7, bishop d4 is not much. So anyway, I felt this would be okay. So of course I considered king d1, and then step by step I realized that was not great for me. So first of all, there's queen e5 that looks like protection for me, but sadly there is the strong move rook e1, and now I cannot really take on e4 because my bishop is pinned. If I take on g5, then my queen is pinned. I mean, I can play bishop e3, but the rook on a8 is also threatened. So I had to take on g5, which was still fine by me. And it's here that I realized that my intentions were not the best. So I was considering all sorts of moves. Of course, one of the most, straightforward is this line, where, it seems like I got everything defended. I mean, the queen defense, but at the same time, I cannot castle, and queen c8 check is a very strong threat, forcing rook d8 and queen takes g4. and this wouldn't be good for me. Um, oh, I see the question about my problem with Armageddons. I think Blitz and Armageddons are two different disciplines. And of course, in Armageddon, you have time to prepare for your opponent, and that didn't help me in some games. And maybe I took the wrong approach. Also, there was, I mean, it's a bit exhausting after a classical game, so it's a bit different than a Blitz tournament when you can get things rolling, you can start picking up a pace. Maybe some players are also less motivated after they start battling the Blitz, so whereas I keep sort of my motivation even if I didn't start that well. So things like that. It's definitely not the same as Blitz, and but yeah, I was still disappointing, of course, with my result. But more importantly, I was disappointed about my result in classical chess, not winning a single game. This was more painful to me than a few Armageddon losses. So should I write a book about Naidov? Yeah. When I retire, I will. But maybe I will know nothing about modern theory when I retire. So I will have to write about my all irrelevant games in 10 years or so, or maybe 20. Who knows? Um, so coming back to the game. Okay, first of all, I had to realize rook d8 was not a move. Of course, queen e5 is not really a move. I think rook e1 is very strong. Same idea. Again, everything is pinned. And my main try, I thought this was the way I would go. And then, well, for some reason it's hard to say why I didn't really mind this. Or maybe I just didn't see it. Because this looks also... I know, but what am I talking about? Queen f6, bishop f6. So, okay, I'm hallucinating. So that's why after queen f6, yeah. So first of all, this is what I saw. Okay, pawn check queen f6, because after king g8, I'm losing this rook on a8 and it's mate. Next move. And yeah, with this fork, I did have to go to f7. So I go to f7, and after rook f1, I go queen f6 check. Now white takes the queen, takes on d5. And maybe it's sort of pressing here. I don't know. Like maybe c4, but at the same time I have two rooks and they're already connected, which means that if I'm able, for instance, to bring both of them to the c file, attacking the c4 pawn, or maybe I go for this, queen e4 check in g7, and overall I think I will have enough counterplay to make a draw. Also, if I get my rooks to the second rank, also it will be very good counterplay against the king. So this was fine. And then during the game I realized rook e1 was very strong. And for some reason I thought this would be fine for me, but the problem is after queen a1 check there's king e2. And after queen d4 check, king c1. And now queen a1, and if it seems like this is gonna be a draw, if king e2 I have queen e4 check, of course. But here after king c1, queen a1, it goes rook b1, queen f6, and this is what I missed at first. And this transposition pins my bishop. So again, I cannot castle, not that it would help now. And after king f7, rook e7, king g6, I think rook d7 is most precise. Attacking d5, and if I go with g8, rook g7, check, take, and this is a very, very bad endgame. So this is how it was going. And so anyway, so after something like half an hour, which was maybe a bit much, but I didn't have much choice. I mean, I need time to evaluate the consequences also of the move I chose, which was rook f8. And here, of course, there were two main options for white, both getting the bishop back. So rook takes e7, queen e7, queen a8 is the most obvious one. And the thing is, king f7 is not possible now, because after queen takes a6, I don't have queen f1 check because the white's queen control, and so a pawn will just move forward. This is pawn up queen endgame, should be technically winning. But of course, after queen takes a8, I wanted king d7. And now something like I mean, many moves are possible. So queen takes a6. I think there I would have to play queen f6, queen b7, and no, queen b7, queen b6 check helps the queen to get control of d4 square. And now maybe rook e1 is strong because I don't have queen a1 check in d2, queen d4 check anymore. And there I stopped at rook c8, and I thought it's anyway better than all the other options I have on move 21. Must be much better for white. But I thought I do have some chances to hold. I do threaten queen a1, queen c3. My king is also on a bad square for now because, of course, it's a bit exposed. But for every rook endgame, because white's king is also exposed, so there's a decent chance I will exchange queens, and then my king is ideally placed for the endgames, controlling any rook penetration on the e file, and while being able to join the queen side whenever the a pawn rushes. So I was unhappy with this position, but I thought I might hold it. And after rook e1, take. I mean, there was also queen c6 check, but here I made sure that this was okay for me. Now king b1, rook b8 check works for me. So white has to go rook e3, and then I thought queen d8 is the simplest, and then I do threaten g6 and starting to relocate my pieces. See some other questions. Did I see what happened in Caruana and Guishuk Armageddon? Yes. Sasha gave up a piece for no reason. He was not in his best shape, I have to say. He blundered a lot of things, and I think after the tournament started so wrongly for him, he lost focus and interest, and when you're not interested in a tournament, it's hard to play well. I guess he's much more focused also on the qualification to candidates now. So here rook e8. This should be... I mean, of course, there are some chances for white here, but I should really be able to make a draw here. Not completely sure, but it's a bit unpleasant, I have to say. Maybe best is rook d8 then. And after white goes h4, I go queen h6. Of course, to keep this rook pinned, prevent from rook e8 mate. And then next move I will go g6, and this could be quite alright. So anyway, he went rook takes e7, which is the best move, and this is all forced. I mean, of course, I cannot really go king d7. Again, this would be a very sad endgame. Queen endgame. I mean, with rooks, and of course, maybe the white's rook a bit less active, there would be decent chances to make a draw, but with queens, it's really going to be difficult. The a pawn moves forward, there's always threats of queen exchange, and white's king is relatively safe. So anyway, king f7. Did I see what happened in the MVL Carlsen Armageddon game? Sadly, yes, I lost. So, but I guess that was ironic. Anyway, so after king f7, now the point is after rook takes e7, king takes e7, queen takes a6, I can take this. Well, not exactly sure if I can take this pawn on g2. I mean, this would need a separate analysis. I guess it should be fine for black because at some point I will launch the counterplay on the king side, but white does have an outside pawn. So, but of course, maybe I also have queen d5 check. I think I calculated it was a draw, but I mean this position, but I wouldn't bet my life on it anyway. But anyway, rook f1 check happened, which is what I expected, and now this is another very interactive moment. Why not live in French? Not today. On Friday, I will be streaming in French. And today it's been a long time that I didn't stream in English, and I thought it's fine. Did I like the format of the tournament? Yeah, so sort of. I mean, I thought it was a very interesting experiment and experience for us. It was tough, but you know, overall I liked it. I didn't like my play, but that's it. So now going back to the instructive moment, I went queen e5. Of course, queen d5 check looks very straightforward. I mean, obviously, I didn't mention this, but queen takes g2, queen takes d6, check, king h5, rook f5, check would win a rook. The rook on e7, and you can even keep the line going like this, and then queen e2 pins the queen, and it's a win for white. If king g4, this is a simple mating too. So going back to queen d5 check, of course this was, the first move I would consider, and then you have to evaluate this endgame. And here the thing is, compared to this line that we saw earlier, this line, this line. I'm losing myself. So this line where the king is on d7, the king, as I said, was very close to white's pawn on a2. Here, things are a bit different. Now the king is on g6, so it's standing very far. Most importantly, it cannot cross the f file because of the rook on f1. So then again, the play is not finished here because I can play this. And now, of course, if white played rook d2, king f5, my king would reach the center. But white is not forced to protect the d3 pawn. He can just play like this. Now white's king is here in support of the a pawn. And it's very, very hard to suggest something. So rook d4, king b3. I don't know, maybe king c4 now and king b4. Black's rook gets to a8, and now I go a4. So already it's very hard to prevent a5. And now let's give you, here rook f4 of course would win, but even a move like rook a2, and now Black's king does come, but is too little too late. Now king b7 and a7 will win the game for white. So yeah. So of course queen d5 check didn't work. So that meant, but this I had seen in advance, of course, that I should go queen e5. And after queen d3, king h6, yeah, I was not that pessimistic about my position. I mean, I'm used to, in every game I play with Fabiano in the night off with black, I always get some sort of bad position, and somehow I very often come out of it, manage to find my way back into the game. So I thought, of course I'm worse, but at the same time, white king is also a bit awkward in most cases. And if I can get g6, king g7 in good conditions, this could be alright. I also have ideas with rook a7, hitting at the pawn on a2. So like if white goes h3, maybe, I don't know. I cannot go rook a7 right away because of rook f5, but most likely I can go g6. Now if c3, rook a7, f2, rook a3. And white's better, but there are some chances to have this position, even though after queen g4, we still have to evaluate this endgame. Again, my king is cut, but now a very subtle difference is that my pawn is not on d6 but on e5, which means I do have counterplay going on like this, and after king b3, e3, rook e2, rook e8. White could win the e-pawn, but it's not clear it would benefit him so much. And if you go a4, king f6, a5, king f5, a6, king e4, black is in time. So white would have to go king c3 most likely, and still have some very decent chances to win. But maybe I also didn't play this so accurately. So, room for improvement. Maybe I should start with some checks, maybe get my rook on a8, be ready to pounce to a4, if king d4. Yeah, this should be a draw actually. So anyway, this was still better for white, but anyway, white went c3. So Fabi wanted, for instance, if I played g6 to go queen d2 check and queen d4 and get a similar endgame to the one we discussed here, and similarly winning. But of course, after c3, I just thought I'm gonna take this bad boy on h2. So now, of course, my king is a bit less safe, but I'm not no pawn down anymore, which means that every of this endgame we discussed should give me enough counterplay in general. So now Fabi went queen d2 check, and he did blunder something. I think, oh yeah, this is what he blundered. So he wanted no, he wanted yeah, he wanted queen f3. Yeah, that's right. So this looks very, very dangerous and awkward for black, and now g4. And here's the thing: after g6, suddenly black is holding. Yeah, I think this was the line, or maybe it was g4 right away. Maybe it was g4, g6, queen f3, queen e5. I'm not sure which order. Anyway, this looks very dangerous, but after queen f8 check, king g5, suddenly my king is safe, because the queen on e5 is centralized. And more importantly, after g5 check, there is only one way to draw, but it works out perfectly fine for me. So rook g1, king h6, of course I cannot go to h4, it's mate in 1 on g4, queen f8 check, and now I definitely can go queen g7 because I think queen f4 check, g5, queen takes d6, king h5 and now rook h1 should win, or something similar. Not exactly sure, but maybe rook h1 is even better. Anyway, this looks far too dangerous for black. But after queen f8, and for the sort of the same reason, I cannot go rook g7. Not totally sure why I cannot go rook g7, but it does look extra dangerous. Yeah, not exactly sure why. Well, but the easiest was king h5, and after rook h1, if queen f3, king h6, this is a repetition. And now if rook h1, so not king g5, because then queen h6 would win for white, and after king f6, rook f1, king e6, rook e1, the pin wins the queen for white. But of course king g4, no more queen h6 check, and after rook g1 check, I go back to h5, and after queen f3 check, back to h6. So this was a cool repetition. So anyway, he didn't find the win, and for the good reasons that there's no win, so he played queen d2. King g6 and rook f4, so at least this pinpoints the fact that I did take on h2, I cannot go back to e5, where my queen would stand ideally. So now I actually thought about the best move, but I didn't play it because it does look a bit strange. You know, white can get now this queen endgame, which looks like it's better for him, but it's actually a fairly straightforward draw because the queen stands ideally on f4. Those are actually four squares. I mean, they're all mirroring, but where the queen stands actually better in queen endgames in general. I mean, it's not always the case, but they stand better than on these central squares for some reason. Easier to cover from checks and to control some decisive squares. But anyway, the idea is that black gets counterplay with his h and g pawn, and the a2 pawn, for instance, doesn't move yet. So anyway, this was apparently a draw. And after king h7, my king is safe. So this is the main idea behind h5. I just thought let's cover d6. Let's play rook e6. What I didn't realize when I played this move is that the rook would actually stand very awkwardly in many situations, as we shall see. So now he played queen c2, king h6, queen f2, queen h5, king d2. So all sort of natural. Here I played queen d5, king c1, and here I made the first serious practical mistake. I played g6. I thought my king would get safe, and I didn't realize that just after a4 I cannot really get safe because all rook endgames will demand extra consideration with my king so far away from the a pawn. And a4 took me by surprise because I didn't realize what could play in slow motion, that I just couldn't really get safe with my king, and this king is not super safe, but it's very hard for me to attack because his pieces are covering, especially the queen, are covering the main entry points. And also my queen cannot really go away, like queen b3 would be very, very dangerous. So why exactly? Oh yeah, this is why. Queen a7 check. And now after king f6, maybe queen d4 check. Something like this. Looks like it's over. This endgame is so complicated. Oh yeah. It's very, very complicated. It was a mess to figure out. So anyway, after e4, I didn't react in the best way. I think still best was g5. Oh yeah, this was actually a very important moment. And after rook f6, I mean, this was of course better with pawn on a2, but still sort of worked here. And here king h5 is very important because, okay, this would lose without question here, but here's the reason I didn't play g5. Okay, again, king h5 is strong, but this would be lost, not the a pawn once. And I'm not in time because after king g6, a4, h5, white can simply play king d2, h4 king e2. His king comes back to defend against the h pawn, but my king doesn't. This pawn went forward. But here after rook f6 check, so again with the pawn on a2 it works as well. I can just calmly play king h5, and it does look scary, but at the same time, my pawns are sort of an efficient shield for my king, provide a shelter, and computer just says that black is fine. I mean, even better again with a pawn on a2, that makes sense, but here is still holding. So anyway, queen e5, and okay, king c2 was a bad move. I think a move was like queen d4 was very strong, or maybe rook h4 and queen d4. Anyway, yeah, not queen d4 right away because of queen e1, but probably rook h4, check, king g7, then queen d4, exchanging queens, then the a pawn once. This was very dangerous for me, or maybe a move like, I don't know, rook d4 also looks strong. Oh, and yeah, now I remember what was the best move, king b2. And the point of king b2 is that after queen e2 check, white goes king a3. And there is no more check on d1. White went king c2. And yeah, of course, I mean, I wanted queen e2 check. This was obvious. And here I had no doubt that I would hold the draw. Despite the pawn advancing, I thought I'm clearly in time for my counterplay. I mean, white maybe can play a bit more precise, but doesn't change the situations that my pawns are rolling very fast. But after queen e2, for some reason, I mean, I was already lacking time, but still, this is my most regrettable moment in the game. So I was concerned about king b3, similar to king a3 that we saw, but here, this is what I missed. After queen d1, king b4, I thought there was no check. There's actually a check on b1. And white cannot really afford to go king a5 now. So this, he has to go back to a3, and here, worst case, I already have draw in hand. So queen e2 would have made the draw on the spot. Instead, I played g5, rook d4, king g6. So again, like these moments are very, very complicated. And PSG rules. This, I cannot allow these things. Actually, Lyon will win next year. Take notes, guys. Lyon will win. So anyway, coming back. Queen f3, no, I played h5 because I remember I was afraid of moves like g4. I mean, if I couldn't play h5 after. So I thought it's time to launch my counterplay. And here was a decisive moment, after which actually Fabi was flawless. Here, well, there are a bunch of drawing moves, but the most accurate is rook e8. And, well, basically the idea is that, I played rook e6 to cover the d6 pawn, but actually because of the a pawn, I will have to go either rook e8 or rook e1 at some point. And then the pawn will advance one step further. So that actually means that rook e6 is a simple, blatant loss of tempo. Now, of course, with more time on the clock, I would have realized that. I would have played rook e8. And now, basically, Black's counterplay comes in time. Not really sure how to, mention this, but like this, king b4, no, Black goes h2. And now, like maybe check. Hooks, no, this would lose, of course, but how do I draw this? I mean, it's still not easy, but there is the obvious feeling that this should be a draw. Maybe not h2, maybe rook e1. Yes, rook e1 is accurate because now I threaten h2, and after rook g2 I start checking. King c5, rook a1, king b6, rook b1, and now when white plays king c6, I go rook c1, I will take c3 with check. And this is an elementary draw. Now the king goes to g4, white's king is far too, far away from the actual playing zone, and this is a draw. So yeah, overall rook e8 was just a simple draw. But yeah, I was playing with seconds, and I had the 10 seconds increment, but it was not enough. So I played rook e6, and now I'll spare you the details, except now this was an important moment. Rook takes d6 would actually be a draw for, similar reasons. I would go with b1, rook a1, maybe h3 first, and actually we're coming back to the position we just analyzed. But rook a2, of course, is much more logical, because also after h3 take a6, I don't have h2. So, and of course, also I cannot get behind this pawn, which I would really need to defend. So instead, I just play rook b1, take a6, rook b8, to be, of course, I think a7 still wins, but of course king d5 makes much more sense. King takes g6. Here, I didn't really pin my hopes on h2, but this was anyways the only try I had. And after king a6, king d5, king f7, rook e2. I mean, there are other wins for white probably, but it's obviously much more natural to cut the king. And now, well, there's nothing I can do. My king is cut too far away. If it was cut on the e file, like king e7 to rook d2, some situations are winning for white, some are draws. But here, just a very mathematical win for white. Here, rook e4 is nailing the coffin. And simply white will go king b7 next. I tried this cheapo. Of course, white cannot take on c8 because king takes e4. And c5, king d5. I grab this pawn. But rook d4 ends the turn. If king e5, rook d5 check. And then grab the rook. So I resigned. So this was a very intense game. This was really a very intense game. And, I was very disappointed at the end, especially by some of my play. At the same time, of course, this was a case of a mishap in the preparation and in the actual play, because I sort of knew that knight takes e4 couldn't be the right move, but I didn't see a refutation at the same time, and then I realized afterwards I had much more problems than I originally thought. So anyway, I feel this was a very interesting game in content, so that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. There was definitely time trouble at this point of the game. The thing is, I was playing with 10 seconds per move, starting from move 40, and I had maybe 5 minutes left after move 35 or something. Fabi managed to be accurate when it mattered. I mean, he stopped. Uh, I mean, he stopped in like races around here. Like, I think, yeah. After this, it was flawless. And I mean, I still had a draw, but again, it was a very difficult one. At least with this time control. So yeah, I just thought this was an interesting game, and uh, yeah, thank you, Tipsy Toon. Uh, I was also having trouble understanding what was happening in the game, but we tried to navigate it as best as we could. My next tournament will be in Croatia. Will be the Grand Chess Tour um, in Zagreb. That will be 12 players, 11 games. Pretty much 11 of the best players. I mean, 12 of the best players. So will be very interesting. And then the FIDE Grand Prix, which is in Riga. I mean, my the first leg was in Moscow, but I didn't play there. Then in Riga, so it's this knockout that provides two qualification spots for the candidates. Of course, it's my main objective of the season to qualify for the candidates. Oh, the in-game in itself is not that difficult, but uh, you need some time to navigate it. And sadly, all the decisions I had to take beforehand took me the 2 hours I had available. Um, yeah, I would have needed, I think, it's hard to say, but maybe 10 minutes to make a move like Rook E8. Or maybe, if I think for 5 minutes, I will play Rook E8. It's hard to say. 10 minutes, I would definitely do. But yeah, with 1 minute and time ticking, it's really hard to take the correct decision. And do I think a 1 second increment would be good to avoid crazy situations? You mean in the Armageddon, I guess? I mean, so yes, but at the same time, you need to have this time pressure on black. Otherwise, black has a big advantage if there's not this time pressure, there's not this possibility of him getting flagged. And then again, after move 60, increment arrives. So it's not that bad for black, and I think, it's about time management because, I mean, again, how were we doing in the 20th century when we didn't have digital clocks, we didn't have increment, and we were just playing, with this little flag that was about to drop, but we didn't even know exactly where it standed and where it stood, and that was a fun times. So I don't really mind the fact that there's no increment, and I think it's good. One thing for sure is that pieces shouldn't have been rolling. I think arbiters should have been able to interfere whenever that happened, basically. Hi, Omni Perspective. My blitz and rapid ratings, I mean, mostly my blitz, have been going up so much. Have I been training differently? Yeah, I've been doing a lot of puzzle work that seems to have paid off. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing. It's obviously good to be number one at something, but my main focus is still qualification for the candidates. But yeah, I'll try to keep my well going in the blitz and rapid. I feel you have a question about the GCT in Paris, where it will be held. I'm not sure yet, so we don't have the actual information. I really hope that it will be possible for spectators to come and enjoy, like it was possible in the first year in Maison de la Chimie, but I don't have actual clues. Yeah, so you cannot find the info if it's not there. Playing against Fabi with time trouble must be a nightmare. Not really. I mean, if he is in time trouble as well, it's okay. Do I spiral? Do I plan to stay in chess for a long time, or do I want to get a noble job? I mean, I'll play chess as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as I'm fighting for something good, you know. And so I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. With that being said, you never know what can happen, but yeah, I mean, I'll be around for something like the next 10 years, and then I'll see what's going on. Also, just because you retire from chess professionally doesn't mean that you get a normal job. Maybe you start um, training people, training maybe the French shops, or coaching some great players. So there's a lot of opportunities, even inside chess, whenever I retire. But I definitely don't plan that long ahead. And yeah, normal job. I don't think I would actually be able. I mean, of course, people adapt, but when you have this freedom of not having to go to an office every day, not having actual timetables and schedules, and people to answer to, because even if you are the boss of your company, you still have people to answer to. So I don't think I could actually do that. I need the independence that being a chess professional has given me. I should train other top GMs to find Queen e5. Oh my god. Yeah, actually, let's show this. Let's show this, because I don't think everyone knows what you're referring to. So let's set up the position, and this was one of the Armageddon games. Correct me if I'm wrong about the positions. Yes, I think White's king was of course White's rook is on f6, and queen on d5, rook on e4, White's king is on a3. And I think this is a position, if I'm correct. Should be. And now that I've said, yeah, no, I'm fine. And so this was Fabi against Wesley. So this was the Armageddon game. I was commenting on it live because I was in the commentary booth, and like one move earlier, I mentioned how Queen e5 would be strong for White with the king on b2. If there was no pawn on a7, with the idea Queen e5, rook e5, c4. Now, please keep in mind that White's king was on b2, and after king b4, rook b6, checkmate, because there's no pawn. But oh wait, I actually messed up. But anyway, so anyway, here. So yeah, I'm not sure how to. Yes. No, not sure actually uh, to actually start the analysis correctly, but uh, anyway, yeah. Let's do it like this. So here, so I was in this commentary booth, and here I just said after like 5 seconds that white was winning. Yeah, f3 also wins, but I think it's mostly based on the same idea, but I'm not exactly sure. I just know that queen b2 doesn't work because of c4, but yeah, f3 wins as well. But anyway, queen e5 is very strong. Now the idea is that black queen is under attack. White also threatens queen b8 and threatens c4. And of course, you would say, what happens if I take the queen? But now c4 happens, queen takes c4, b takes c4 check. And after king takes c4, f takes e5. So, no, it's not actually rocket science, but it was a fun moment. And of course, it's a nice move to see. Sadly, Fabi didn't see it. He made a mistake and ended up giving up a draw in this. Or maybe he actually lost, I don't remember. Doesn't make a difference. He lost in the Armageddon this way. And of course, it must have been a bit painful, but it was a funny moment where I just said, yeah, queen e5 wins. And yeah, Fabi needs some puzzle rush.